everybody doing today? My name is Corey Parchman. I am a Ball State graduate. Cardinals, yeah, there we go. I am a former NFL player. I played for the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Green Bay Packers. And I'm currently now a business owner. I own businesses in Indianapolis and Miami. Now, I didn't say all of that to brag on myself, even though it does sound pretty good, doesn't it? No, I'm just kidding. No, actually, I said all that because in order to achieve those goals, mindfulness played an important role for me to achieve those goals. Truth be told, you guys, I'm not supposed to be here right now. I'm supposed to be dead or in jail based on where I grew up at. I grew up in the inner city of Indianapolis by a single mom in the ghetto. And what happens in the ghetto, you get labeled a lot. You get labeled as being uneducated because of the school system you go to. You get labeled as being at risk because you come from a single parent. And you get labeled as being ghetto. And what happens as a kid or as an adult, as you try to navigate through that space, those labels stick to you. So you get labeled as being ghetto, that sticks to you. Then you get labeled as being at risk, that sticks to you. Then you get labeled as being uneducated, that sticks to you. And what happens is, a lot of times, those labels bring people down. And unfortunately, a lot of my friends growing up are no longer with me anymore because of those labels. They stuck to them, and now they are dead or in jail. But through mindfulness, I was able to avoid those labels. You guys remember the movie The Matrix? And remember that scene with Keanu Reeves, the real slow scene when he was like moving real slow and the bullets were floating past him? Well, that was me. You called me the ghetto black Neo. Instead of the bullets, it was labels. So the label of being ghetto would come, I would let it go past me. The label of being uneducated would come, I let it go past me. So mindfulness helped me get through those situations. Now, today I'm going to talk about 3 situations. When mindful first was introduced to me, and then 2 significant points in my life where mindfulness helped me reach my goal. Now, what is mindfulness? I think that we all can define it in different ways based on our own journey and our own experiences. Me personally, my definition of mindfulness is concentrating my focus, and more importantly, concentrating my focus on believing in myself. Now, the first time that I experienced mindfulness, I was 9 years old. I was at school in class, and the office called down and asked my teacher, could you send Corey down? He's leaving for the day. So I gather all my stuff together, and I head to the office. And when I get to the office, I see the pastor of my church there. I don't see my mom and my dad there, which was kind of weird. So he comes to me, and he says, I don't know how to tell you this, Corey, but your dad died this morning. He died of a massive heart attack. Now, when he told me this, it really didn't register in my head until I get out to the car, and I see my mother and my grandmother in the car crying. And that's when I realized it was real, that I no longer had a dad anymore. And how the story goes, some guys had broken into our house. He caught them in the middle of the break-in, and he didn't catch them, but he chased them out of the house, and he later had a heart attack and died on our front porch. Now, I'm 9 years old when that happened, so you can imagine this was very devastating because this just wasn't my dad. This was my superhero. This was the deacon of our church, the leader of our house, my football coach and baseball coach. So as you can imagine, I started to struggle in school. I started to get in a lot of trouble in school because, I'm trying to figure things out. I spent so much time at the principal's office, every day at the principal's office. I spent so much time there that him and I shared desks together. That's how much time I spent in the principal's office because I was trying to figure things out. So the school thought it would be a good idea that I see a therapist, social worker, I don't know what her name was. She was kind of weird, but anyway, I'll tell you about her in a minute because sometimes I was like, who does he see, me or you? But no, so I would see this lady like twice a week, 3 times a week, and depending on what kind of week I had. And, she began to get frustrated with me also because I couldn't get things together. I would stay in trouble. So one day I got in trouble, and she came and got me, and she's really frustrated with me. So she sits me down in her office, and then she goes outside of the office. I can hear her talking, and I can hear her talking about me. And I can hear her say that, Corey is just a bad kid. He's being raised by a single mom. He's just a bad kid. He's going to be dead or in jail by 18. Now, I'm 9 years old, and you hear that from an adult, it must be true, right? I mean, an adult says it, so I begin to believe that. So I spent months and months and, still getting in trouble. So one day I'm sitting outside of the classroom, and Miss May was my 5th grade teacher. She saw me sit outside the classroom. So I'm sitting out there with my head down, and she comes to me, she says, Corey, what can you do to change things? Like, what can you do to get better at your behavior? And with my head down, I say, I can't. I'm just a bad kid. I'm just having a problem, and, my dad died, and, I'm just a bad kid. And she lifts my head up. And this was back in the day you could touch kids. She lifts my head up. This was back a long time ago, long. She lifts my head up, and she says to me, put her finger on my face, she said, never let me hear you say that again. Never let someone's label of you become your reality. You have to focus and believe in yourself. And that was the day mindfulness came real to me. That's the day I realized that in order for me to make it out of the ghetto, to make it out of my situation, I had to be mindful and concentrate my focus on myself and not the labels. So let's fast forward to high school. Now, in high school, you guys can Google this now. I was the best quarterback in the state of Indiana in '97. The best quarterback in the state of Indiana. Any awards you want to get, I got. In track, I was one of the best track runners in the state of Indiana. I was 100-meter dash, 200-meter dash, city champ. That's how good I was. So you can imagine, every college in the country wanted me to come play for them. Every college, from Notre Dame to Michigan to Nebraska to Florida State, all of them wanted me to come play for them. I got about 5 to 10 phone calls a day from these colleges wanting me to come play for them. So before you can go and play for those schools, you have to turn in what's called a clearinghouse form. Now, the clearinghouse form is this form that has your grades and your transcripts and your test scores on it. So you send it into this clearinghouse, and this clearinghouse tells you if you're going to be eligible or not. So I send mine in, and it gets rejected. They tell me that I'm going to be academically ineligible to play football. I cannot go to college and play football because of my grades. So as you can imagine, every college stopped recruiting me. I had no more phone calls, because they figured that I wasn't smart enough to go to college, so they no longer recruited me. No more phone calls. I went from 5 to 10 phone calls to no more phone calls. So I'm discouraged. So I go to my coach, and I say, what do I do now, man? I'm shut down. I don't have any money for college. I don't have anything, on my scholarships. What do I do? And he says to me, he says, you know what, Corey? You're just like any other inner city athlete. You're really, really good at sports. You're great at sports, but you're not smart enough to go to college. And if you do go to college, you're not smart enough to stay. I'll say it to you again. He told me that I was just like every other inner city athlete. I was great at sports, one of the best in sports, but I wasn't smart enough to go to college. And if I did go to college, I would drop out. Well, instead of me focusing on those labels, I was mindful and I focused on myself. Not only did I earn a scholarship, but I graduated with a degree in elementary education, and I have my master's degree right now. Because I was mindful and concentrated my focus on not the labels, but myself. Now, I got one more story to tell real quick. It's the NFL story. It's a doozy. It's a great story. Do any of you guys know what NFL means? It stands for not for long. That's what it really means, not for long. So after college, I didn't get drafted by anyone, but after the draft, I had the Jacksonville Jaguars. They called me about 10 minutes after the draft and asked me the dumbest question in the world. They called me and said, do you want to sign a 3-year contract with us? I'm like, what? Sure. What do I sign? So about 10 minutes later, they faxed me over the contract. It was a 3-year contract. So I signed an NFL contract. Now, I swear to you, when I signed that contract, this song started playing in my head. You guys might know it. When I signed that NFL contract, the theme song from the Jeffersons started playing in my head. I promise you. Moving on up to the east side, we finally got a piece of the pie. You guys know the song? This song is literally playing in my head. When I signed the contract, it played in my head. I called my mother, tell her I just signed a contract. So Jacksonville flies me out to Jacksonville for a training camp. And mind, this song is still playing in my head. I'm singing it to the stewardess. I'm singing it to everybody. I'm singing it to everybody. So I get to the facility, and the song's still playing in my head. Fish don't fry in the kitchen. I'm excited. We made it right in the NFL. So I get to my locker, and I think the most amazing thing that I saw was my name, Parchman, over the locker. It was amazing. Like, I finally made it, moving on up to the east side. So I said, let me go see the depth chart and see where I am on the depth chart. You got first string, second string. So let me go see where I am on the depth chart. So I'm singing a song, we finally got her. So I go, I'm not the first string. That's fine. That's cool. I'm not second string. That's cool. We cool. We still good. I'm not third string. I'm not fourth string. I'm not fifth string. I'm not sixth string. I'm not even on the list anymore. I'm not on the list at all. I was not on that roster. So I thought maybe it was a mistake, so I'm going to go see the coach. Now, mind you, this song was still playing in my head, but it was playing like at a 1 or a 2 at this point in time. It was like really, it was like a whisper, whisper. So I go to the coach and I say, hey, coach, I don't see my name up there. It must be some mistake. And he laughs. He said, it's not a mistake. You won't see your name up there. He said, you're an undrafted free agent. Guys like you don't make the team. We bring you in for practice to get the starters ready, and then we'll cut you before the season starts. I'm like, damn. I outweighed all these labels right here to get to my dream, the NFL, and I get labeled again. So instead of feeling sorry for myself, I focused myself on not the labels, but I was mindful and focused on believing in myself. That year, the NFL had 235 undrafted free agents. Only 2 made an NFL roster, and I was one of them. because I was mindful and not letting the labels get me. I mean, we all gonna get labeled at some point in time in our life, but you can't focus on labels. You have to focus on believing in yourself. So I was mindful of that. So let me wrap it up like this. So now I'm at the last stage of another stage in my life right now. I just opened an all-boys school called Many Men Leadership Academy. It's for boys 3 to 5. We go all day long, 7 o'clock to 4:30. And it's a great school. I mean, I've learned a lot from the school, but it's a great school for 3 to 5-year-olds. And the concept is to put positive male role models in their life at an early age through education. So it's going pretty good. So one thing I teach them, of course, is mindfulness, and I teach them meditation. But I also want to teach them to be independent. Try it for yourself before you ask for help. When it comes to things like open a ketchup package, I'm like, no, try first. God gave you hands. Use your hands to open yourself. So that's what I teach them there. So one day we go to the restroom, and I take them all to the restroom, and they go into the restroom. I stand in the door. They got the little stalls, and I hear like this water just splashing. I'm like, the heck is this water splashing? So I go to the stall, and Theodore has his hand in the toilet. I'm like, Theodore, what are you doing? He said, I'm using what God gave me. I'm using my hands to unclog the toilet. You guys have been great. Thank you very much.